Hey guys, welcome back to the show for a Sunday Night Live, the final countdown before Rebels of Disclosure in a couple weeks, 15 days away actually, as of today. We are, um, I don't know what I was going to say, May 12th through the 15th in Grafton, Illinois. And if you're interested in coming out, we still have tickets available. Live stream passes, 4-day passes, 1-day passes. It's going to be a lot of fun. Bonfires, sky watches. We're going to go to Cahokia Mounds, Cahokia Mound excursion slash activation on May 16th, the day after the conference. We're really looking forward to that. And it's just, this is our last year in Grafton, so we're very excited about it. It's going to be a great turnout. It's turning out to be, it's shaping up to be something, really a special event because, we started there, and like I said, it's our fourth year, and then we're moving away over to Hawaii next year to Big Island, April 20th, and stay tuned for details about that. We are going to be announcing that. I might have the pre-sale ready by the time this conference rolls around, so we can just get people started on the pre-sale, and there will be payment plans and all that stuff. But those details are to come. Anyway, how you doing today, Aaron?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Doing good. Doing good. Just, just busy with the book that just came out. My new book just came
Yeah,
out, Bleed Through Tales from Another Timeline. It's doing pretty well. And
it
I
is.
thank you guys all for the love and support and the beautiful reviews on Amazon. And I think I have 5 interviews this week. Or people just like want
Yep.
me on their show. And I'm saying yes to all of them just because I'm like, all right, well, I'm in it. Let's do it.
That's exciting. Yeah.
So,
It's
but
doing the book tour virtually now
right.
after it's out. Yep.
Yeah, I'm excited and it's just a lot, but I understand like I knew what I was getting into when I re published it. I remember seeing you do like all those interviews when you released your book and I'm like, damn, that's a lot. Like,
It was. And now
right.
you're doing
Yeah. Uh,
it's fun though.
right.
Yeah.
It is fun because it's a big thing. It's a milestone and
Right.
I actually have grown an appreciation for authors in a way that I didn't have before prior to releasing the book,
Me
which
too.
yeah.
Me too. It's a lot of work.
It's far more work than it. I mean, it sounds ambitious. Like, yeah, I'm gonna write a book. I can do it. But then, like, you don't realize, especially self-publishing, all
Yeah.
that goes in with it. So, yeah, but I'm excited. It's out, and now I can focus on other things like the conference and the podcast, and also anybody who is a member of our Patreon. I'm thinking once we're through with this conference, we can buckle back down on some webinars and stuff like that, and including I think we're going to hit the ground running with our Secret Space Program documentary after the conference. We're going to interview Patrick Riley at the conference for the documentary and we'll be able to really start piecing it together after that. And it's going to be something something big, and I can't wait to see what that turns into.
Yeah.
But that
I'm
is the
excited.
big next project. And guys, we are going to be taking questions from the audience. If anybody has any questions, as always, just put question all caps in the chat and then leave a question for us, and we're happy to answer them. But we also want to get into some current events. I don't know if there's anything that you've been seeing circulating, Aaron, that looks interesting to you that you'd like to talk about. But even the conversation we were just having prior to this about the current events is really
Mhm.
interesting. Maybe we should start with that.
Sure. Um, yeah, we were just saying how um, you know, all the views go to the current thing, the current exciting thing that's going on, and that's what a lot of people that, especially the ones that are going live all the time, they're just like talking about the current thing constantly, but it just keeps you stuck in this loop of consuming the current thing, getting worked up over the current thing and the energy of that rather than focusing on what's important and not giving your power away because it's a form of giving your power away. It can be if you get too caught up in that because um you're never focused on yourself. You're never focused on your goals and your mission or what's the most important in life. You're always just kind of consuming and getting worked up over the current thing. And that's kind of the formula for the news in general, right? Like mainstream media. That's what they do. It's constant. fear, sensationalism, triggering people, and then that's what generates the views. That's how they get their money. That's how they get your attention and keep you in that spinning wheel. And it's literally like energy harvesting, right? So just because you're doing it in an alternative media format doesn't mean it's any different, right? You might be getting more accurate news, but you're still doing the same thing. So you got to be careful with that. And that doesn't mean it's not important to talk about. It is to some degree, and it's important to be aware of what's going on. Just don't give your power away to it, and don't get caught up in the vicious circle of
Right.
energy
Well,
harvesting of that.
yeah, and it's just something I noticed because I'm like, the last two videos we did, I thought were like groundbreaking conversations. The last two podcasts, the one with Neil Gar about what is
Mhm.
evil, and then the last one with Luke Cohen about, the multidimensional aspects of our reality. And I mean, we really like broke things down, and it was just a totally expansive conversation. And they're like the least viewed episodes.
Right.
But if we put stuff out there like surface level, like current events and stuff, everybody flocks towards it. And then, so, I wrote down all the current events that I kind of wanted to cover today. I'm like, we've literally covered all this. This stuff it's just repeating, it's recycling back through the narrative. So we have Epstein news,
Yeah.
Pope news, uh, fake space news, NASA, SpaceX. Um, we have they're blocking out the sun again. CIA document. I mean, all okay. Like literally, this stuff is
So
just coming back to the forefront. Yeah,
just take one or two of those, and if we were to put those in the title of this episode, it'd already have like three times the
right.
viewers or more, because that's just that's just how.
Exactly. So, but I was like, what's there to talk about anymore? Okay, yeah, we understand there's developments and things happening that, like are worthy of noting, but then we don't want to focus on it too long. But for today's episode, we will touch on it for a few minutes. What podcast will you be on for your book? I mean, a lot of them are probably lesser known podcasts, but I am going to be on a few big ones coming up, which I'm not going to announce yet until those are out. So,
Great till it's out. The big one.
um, yeah, so then I'll share that. But thank you for asking. Um, but let's talk about some of this stuff. So, okay, let's talk about the Epstein stuff that everyone's kind of going crazy about. We were supposed to get the files released, it never happened. And then,
Yeah.
which I called, I mean, because there's so much more involved than Pam Bondi or Cash Patel even understand until they get in there and realize, oh, this is a global ancient
Yeah.
cabal.
This
This
is the
isn't
teeny tiny tip of an iceberg of a massive thing that, yeah, they can't just do what
right.
they thought they were doing. It's
Yeah,
like,
and it's
oh, this is
and
way
then
bigger.
it leads to more islands and
Right.
more people. And
Right.
it's just like you said, the teeny tiny tip of the iceberg. So, and even Doge doing their investigations, they're leaving these like cryptic messages now, like they're reaching stuff that's so dark beyond what they ever thought they can't even talk about it. That's what they said. Like,
Right.
what are they discovering? It's this stuff we probably talk about, adrenochrome harvesting, trafficking and
Reptilians getting into the
extraterrestrial.
real
Yeah.
so-called woo stuff that they're finding out is real through this because it all connects, obviously. Extraterrestrials, off-world stuff,
Right.
entities, demonic entities, and go down the
Right.
list, right? It goes to that level, obviously.
Yeah, and I think that's what they're realizing. And
Right.
I mean, people like, what's his name? I can't even think of his name. The guy that plays Morpheus in the Matrix.
Oh, Lawrence Fishburne.
Lauren, yeah, that recent interview he did when he was asked about aliens, he's like, I think they're here among us,
Yeah.
walking right next to us, and we walk past them every day. We just don't know it. And he said it as if he was one of them. Like that, I was like,
Yeah. He
I
said it
feel,
very matter of factly, like he was
yeah.
not joking in the slightest. He was like, "No, this is actually what I think."
I think he was saying that because he is an alien. Like, I'm not even
Right.
joking when I said I genuinely, the way I was reading his body language, I'm like, oh, he's saying that because he's trolling the audience right now. He's legitimately like an extraterrestrial in human form, right? So,
Yeah, maybe.
that's, I mean, maybe, right? That's just the way I was feeling about it. But let's just talk about like, okay, let's the surface level stuff with the Epstein victim.
So
This,
Virginia, how do you pronounce her last name? Guffrey?
yeah,
Guffrey?
something like that. However, Guffrey.
However you say it.
Yeah. Yeah, so she committed suicide, right?
Committed suicide after saying, let's see. There's a tweet here. I have a screenshot. She's saying, I'm making it publicly known that in no way, shape, or form am I suicidal. I have made this known to my therapist and GP. If something happens to me and the sake of my family, do not let this go away and help me to protect them. Too many evil people want to see me quieted. So that is a real tweet
Right. Yeah.
she
So
made.
she claimed she was trafficked to Prince Andrew, and
Yeah.
her case was dismissed by the same judge that dismissed that ruled Donald Trump was guilty of raping that Jean Carroll or whatever. Um,
Yeah.
it's all that's where you start seeing evidence of the collusion. So that's one thing this is doing is it just brings it all to the surface, and people are like, oh, these everyone's in bed together. They're all in on it. Whether
Right.
on Seinfeld, they're all crooks.
Right. Right.
Right. They're all crooks.
Right. And then because the question is, well, why did they wait till now? Why didn't they take her out before? Well, I think what they do is, they're always playing this game of like, what's more damaging to us, taking her out and making it obvious, it's going to be obvious that we took her out and that there's something to this, or let her speak and let her, roam free and speak. But then at least we're not verifying what she's saying, but obviously they thought it was much more damaging to them to let her keep speaking out, and they took her out because they're
Right.
desperate. They're just desperate now. They don't care if it's obvious because it's obvious that literally, I think this is on the level of like Epstein killing himself, and that everyone's like, okay, no, even the people that aren't by any stretch of the imagination into conspiracies or whatever you want to call it, we're like, okay, yeah, that clearly didn't happen. This is like another one of those.
Right. But then again, how many of another one of those do we have to have
Right.
before like we see some headway, right? And I think those
Enough people wake up that change
right.
disclosure action change actually
I
starts
think
happening.
Doge is a good first step though, because it's the first time since we've been talking about
Yeah.
any financial information that we're actually seeing evidence of something like the very beginning baby steps of something being done
Mhm.
to make a long-term change.
Yeah.
And it's just not going to be as overnight as, all the alternative media thinks or has us believing.
Right.
Um,
Process.
yeah, and it has to make sense to the collective too.
Hmm.
If we have such a shock like that, if something was just to happen instantaneously overnight and we were all rich or whatever, the money was returned and no one would understand why, it would actually create this confusion and confusion is like a lower frequency, right? Like that's
Hmm.
the frequency of the devil,
Yeah.
essentially. So you want it has to make sense to the people. So there's this, it's going to be long drawn out, and there's going to be this pushback and this cat and mouse, and eventually it's going to make sense whenever they finally do knock over the last domino, and then something happens. The story was told on the world stage, so everybody can accept it. I feel like that's kind of what we're witnessing right now. A lot of this stuff might already be done in the background,
I'm certain a lot of it is already
yeah, and we're
done in the
just straight
background.
up watching theater in some cases.
Absolutely.
Um, but
Yep.
yeah, you don't want to like, but it's still like, okay, another Epstein story. And I found it very interesting that the Pope's death was very timely, obviously, but it was also predicted. A lot of people, I mean, it was like predictive programming. They were like setting the stage for it. He was sick, and then
Right.
he was in bad health, and he couldn't go like to this event. It was like, okay, like they already and
Right.
it was a ritualistic thing too, because on that same day, a number of things happened, and they
April
took
21st seems to be a very ritualistic day for the cabal. There's a lot of things that happen on that day. So whether he actually died on that day or not, they announced it on that day and for a reason, right? They don't do anything without a reason. It's all very precise. So
yeah,
even down to when someone actually dies, like I think, they knew they're like waiting for that date to like, holding him on maybe till then, or they just announced it on that date. Either way, there's a reason they chose that date. It's a ritual.
I agree. And so I had a dream not long ago at all about the Pope. I was at the Vatican with some Vril diamonds, like the Maria Orsic type, the Vril girls.
Hmm.
There was three guys and three girls, and like each one of us were assigned like a girl, and it was like this masculine and feminine like counterpart. Like that's how Like this mission had to be done. We had to have opposite sex
Mhm.
counterpart. Um, so we were doing something in the Vatican, and I approached the Pope, and he like basically threatened me, and he was like, "You don't want to do this." And I looked at him and I said, "Do what?" Like playing dumb to it. And he literally, like his eye, he didn't morph into like a reptilian, but he like morphed in front of me into like this almost demon looking thing. And he said, I have ties to the Andromedan Council. And and then he went back to his human form, but it was like it was a threat, like somehow the Andromedan Council is like there's a faction of them that works for the dark, which if you read the Sands of Times books, if you remember, they talk about like the Pleiadians, the Andromedans, like they all have like their military groups that aren't necessarily of the light either, like working with our military. So I'm like, oh, what if something like that is going on? And then
Right.
a
There's
friend of mine, really
there's
quick,
duality there too. Like just
yeah,
because they're ETs doesn't mean there's not the same kind of similar duality that goes on our planet. That's what a lot of people don't realize. Right.
right,
Sorry.
yeah, exactly, and it's a great thing to remind people. But and then it keeps going. So a friend of mine, who I'll just leave her name out of it, um, she sent me this voice note that she had this wild dream with the Pope, and he was there was a fight for his soul, and he was like a higher version of himself she was talking to, and he said, they're gonna kill me. He told her in the dream, she's like, they're gonna kill me because I'm trying to talk. Like he was trying to basically spill the beans about something, and in the dream, that's what happened. Like it was just super weird. She left me a message. She was like, "You're never gonna believe this." So she told me the dream, and then literally the next day, they announced that the Pope got sick, and she was like, in her dream, he was leaking information, and they were just gonna take him out because he was like leaking stuff to whomever, which makes you think about the white hats and stuff, and maybe
Mm.
like we don't know who these characters really are.
He was being like a double agent kind of thing.
Right. Or he just like knew that he was dying and decided to like tell somebody.
Spill the beans before he
Yes.
died.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like deathbed
Yeah.
confession type of thing.
Hmm.
And this is all stuff coming from the dream state, right? Like my dream and her dream. That doesn't mean it actually happened, but I wouldn't surprise me if something along those lines was occurring. And there's so much more to this story. And of course, everybody, including us, like we just want to like you only see the negative side of this stuff because we understand the Vatican's role, the Vatican and the Pope's role in everything.
Right.
So, but you never know like like they showed a war for his soul. Like, did he even want to be in that position? Like, is it just like he was like
Forced,
born
poured
into it
into
and
it.
forced? Yeah. So we have to
Right.
consider stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's all the prophecies of the last pope, like he is supposed to be the last pope, which so right now they're all like talking about who's going to be his replacement, who's going to be the next pope. But what if what from, everything we're seeing happening, everything's unprecedented right now pretty
Right.
much. So like what if that doesn't ever happen because we get disclosure of the Vatican and of all that stuff before they're able to install a new pope? Who
Right.
knows? We'll see.
Or Trump will troll the
And
world
it
and
gets
change the rules, change the
right,
laws so he can become the Pope too,
right, right,
acting president. Yeah.
right. But think about it. I mean, because if you think about it, if people knew what they were supporting through through the Roman Catholic Church and through the Vatican and the popes and stuff, no one would support that, right? Like no
Right.
one. So you can't have a pope when there's disclosure of that because no one's gonna support that system anymore. It's gone.
Right.
So maybe we're gonna get that. Obviously, there's. I don't think there's not gonna be this like full disclosure all in a moment thing. I don't think it's there's a process going on, and like we are really the true disclosure anyway.
Yep.
But there is going to be a lot of quote unquote disclosure come out through official sources, governments, things like that, right? And yeah, who knows? I mean, I
It'll
think
all
yeah, I mean, it'll play out how it needs to,
it'll all
but
be partial truths though too, what they give
right,
us.
right. But maybe enough
Enough.
that everyone's like, oh my God, there's this evil's been disguised as a religion, this whole time. And then therefore no more popes, you know. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, there's stuff like all these videos that are hitting the internet now too. Like I watched this video of this mass in the Catholic Church, and you could literally hear children like screaming from the basement, like little boys, like
Yeah.
screaming for help and beating on the freaking floor or something. And like the pastor, everybody was just ignoring it, and like somebody was filming it, and like it was just a real awkward thing, and they just kept on with the mass like it wasn't happening. And I'm just like this is the universe literally bringing this to light right now. Like this is
Yeah.
happening for a reason.
100%. Yeah.
And I'm going to go back to the conference really quick because we have more people here. So I just want to remind everybody that if you are coming to the conference, which is right around the corner, 15 days away, the meal plan, if you plan on purchasing a meal plan, that deadline is on May 6th. We have to have the food order in 10 days prior to the event. So if you're coming and you want the meal plan, take advantage of it. It's a great deal. And if you've been the past couple of years, you understand that it's a great deal. Lots of food and buffets, and it's all convenient. You don't have to go anywhere. It's all done for you. So May 6th is the deadline for that. And we've recently added a cryptocurrency panel on Tuesday. So Patrick Riley speaks Tuesday afternoon. We're going to kind of rework the schedule on Tuesday a little bit, just to condense it. And after Patrick Riley's talk, we're going to segue into a cryptocurrency panel with Aaron and Jace from Cosmic Origins or slash Conscious Crypto Academy, and it's just one of the subjects that seems to be very hot right now. And there's no three better people that can talk about it intelligently and answer the audience questions. So I would get up there, but I quite honestly don't understand it the way these guys do. So but that's we're really excited about that. And if you can't make it in person, it's just another incentive to grab the live stream because it's going to be very valuable information that's shared. And the live stream is a very, very professionally done. And every in-person pass comes with a live stream pass too. So that's a good deal. And you don't have to watch it live. It's a 6-month replay. So even if you get the live stream, you don't have to be there in real time. Journeytotruth.online for all that information. Okay, back to the show. Um, okay, well, I'm just going through. I put as one of my notes, Earth girls are easy. Talking about the girls that went to space, because that's Craig Walker, our friend Craig. He brought up a movie from like the '80s or something called Earth Girls Are Easy with Jeff Goldblum, and I was like, I've never seen that, and he's like, Yeah, you should. It's
I've,
hilarious. You
yeah, I'd
should
never
watch
heard
it.
of it until
Yeah. But then like he's telling me about this movie, and then Katy Perry and all these girls go to space and like space, right? And it's just like this hilarious, obvious show that
yeah.
it's almost like they're seeing who will still fall for it type of
It
thing.
it was so bad, right? It was so
Right.
bad. I can't even imagine that they didn't do it on purpose. They didn't make it that bad on purpose, like you said. Like they're seeing who will fall for it. They're seeing it's like it's either like a mocking thing or it is a white hat operation of like, hey, we're gonna make this so ridiculously bad that it's gonna wake people up, you know,
And they have
whatever.
like Oprah crying whenever Katy Perry walks out. I'm like, yeah, oh my God.
Yeah,
Like, dude, like if you ever, my body just responds to that. I'm like, this is so fake. I can't even put it into words. And,
the
but
dummy in the window, the no scorch marks at all.
and they're all like basically it's like a model shoot. The whole
It's
thing's
like
like
a
a
model shoot,
yeah.
right?
So
It's
anyway, I mean, I
it,
just found it interesting. Like they're still running that narrative, and
the
there's
thing
people
looks
out
like it's
there.
made out of cardboard. Like the door opens before, like
Hmm.
there's
And you
just
can literally
there's
see
so
through the
many.
window that looks like a crash test dummy, like a
Yeah,
man.
yeah, yeah. That's what I meant. The dummy in the window.
Yeah,
Yeah, there was like, I mean, I think I found at least 20 things, at least
at
that
least
were
right.
like big, ridiculous things. Like there's probably more than that even.
The one theory that's the out there theory is that the same Katy Perry that went up didn't come back down or whatever. But and then people have been like, I was on X today just seeing what's like current, and there's all these Katy Perry videos on from concert like since she got back. I guess she just immediately went on tour. I don't know. I don't know. I don't keep up with it, but she's kind of like acting very like a very MK Ultra to the
Yeah,
point where like poor girl, like there's no soul there. Like her soul's in the back seat.
Right.
And it's just 100% she's not acting of her own volition. She sold her soul, and like we're witnessing what that looks like, and she's being used as a real puppet at this point. So that part's sad, but I mean, that's also obvious too for the people who can see
Hmm.
it.
I mean, to get as big as Katy Perry in the first place, you have to sell your soul to
Right,
get to that level. Unfortunately, that seems to be, especially in the music industry,
right.
that seems to be how it works because they control that industry, and you want to be the top tier, you got to sell your soul. And so it's not like this just happened with her, but it does seem like something extra happens
Yeah,
uh, after that or recently, so
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's just
or
more. It's
whatever.
like I said earlier, everything we're covering is like more of the same, but it just looks a little different, and becoming a
Right.
little more and more obvious too. So in a way, I see what it's doing. Like it's awakening more people, little by little. It's all happening for a
Hmm.
reason.
Yep.
But I think it's funny when I do scroll across the articles that are taking it seriously, like it actually happened, like
Yeah.
they're part of the show, right? And I'm like part
Yeah.
of the illusion. I'm like, oh my God. Like the fact that people are buying it still that's more impressive than the lies. Like the
Right.
people, you know,
Right. That like the false matrix or whatever you want to call it has gotten so ridiculous, but there's still people like, yeah, this is all real. Yeah.
right,
There's nothing weird at all going on. Like they don't like you guys don't see any of this stuff. Nothing really.
right.
And then again, I do think a lot more people see it than are willing to speak out because they're afraid of ridicule. They're afraid of ostracization. They're afraid people are going to think they're a crazy conspiracy theorist if they say, so oh yeah, yeah, whoever's around them in their life, yeah, I'm just going to go along with what everyone else seems to think.
Dude, you know what?
There's a lot more people like that than you think, than
I
people
don't know why
realize.
this just came to my head. Um, Total side note. But I had this guy come to my front door yesterday trying to sell me a home security system. And I know a company that came through a few years ago, they
Hmm.
were selling security systems and they want to come to your house and like see if your house would be a good fit and they'll give you like a free security system if you put the sign in the yard, the whole sales pitch, right?
Yeah.
They did that to my neighbor, and then they came back and robbed my neighbor's house. Like they scoped out the house, and then
Yeah.
they find out when you work and all this stuff.
It's a genius thing.
Right.
Yeah, actually.
Yeah, they actually legitimately like got it happened, and I'm like, and that guy last time came to my house like 3 days in a row. I'm like, no, dude, you're not coming to my house. Anyway, another guy came, different company, and I was just like already on guard.
Hmm.
And I was like, no, I said, I don't trust those things. I said, I'm actually an ethical hacker. I work for a company that hacks these things, and I know how easy they are to hack. I would never install them in my house. I was just bullshitting him.
Nice.
And he goes, are you a white hat or a black hat? And I said, I'm a white hat. And he's like, well, that's good at least. And then I was like, all right. And he's like, I'll see you later. And he just walked off. And I was like, so thrown off by it. Like,
Yeah, that white hat black, that's a common term for used for hackers. Is
right,
like
right,
a good hacker is a white hat, a bad one is a black hat. Yeah.
right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But
It's
I
interesting.
was,
We all talk about white hats now, speaking of like, the military and the alliance and stuff,
yeah,
but
yeah.
that's a term that's been around for a long time with hackers.
I,
Yeah,
but
it's funny
I
though.
was
Yeah.
still thrown off by it because I think he was thrown off by me. I was just bullshitting. Like, I don't know, dude. All these scammers and these people that come around, I just play with them anymore. I'm just like, might as well
Oh yeah.
have fun with this 3D reality while we're here. Um, yeah, I don't know why that
Right.
was
Right.
just popped in my head.
Or like the text scammers or the email or Facebook scammers.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
make it sound so urgent and like try to make it sound official, and then you're just like, oh man,
yeah.
I just want nothing.
Fictitious in the chat says, I mean, you're wearing a white hat right now. I wasn't
You're,
wearing a
you're
hat,
literally wearing a white hat.
but I wasn't wearing one when I answered the door. So,
Tyler's a white hat,
right,
guys.
that's his
He's
proof.
trying to tell you.
Um, another thing I saw that's interesting is the that video. I actually just shared it on our Patreon. I started watching it until I realized it was 8 hours long. But it's about the title was about how the CIA can track reincarnating souls, and like this isn't a theory. In 2017, they released 13 million pages of documents. They declassified them and just hit the internet and quietly nobody knew. But within that, they talk about tracking souls, dream warfare, which is another thing. Actually, Tony Rodriguez's girlfriend Veronica, she just wrote a book and then she's posting this research that's in these documents about dream warfare and how they can literally send people into your dreams to kill you. And like that's the shit I wrote about in my book, but I didn't even know it was like a CIA thing. And but it's just like, what's going on here? Like we just think of the astral realm as just like something that nobody really understands. Yet here's these documents where these people seem to have patented like technologies that can utilize the astral realm to target people. And I just find it extremely interesting that, we can all speculate that they monitor our souls and we know which families we're going to be born into, but now we have real evidence of it. This isn't like it's
Right.
so quickly not becoming a theory. I just find it absolutely fascinating.
Yeah. Yeah, that's how it works, you know. They to keep that power differential, they study all the things that publicly they dismiss as not real, pseudoscience, or we don't really know anything or much about, right? Which is like the astral realm, other dimensions, parallel realities, as you talk about, even dream time,
Right.
soul, like spirit and soul. Like they don't teach us about any of this stuff, and in fact, they more often than not poo-poo it as not being real. But then secretly, they're all into this, and they have technologies even that work. And like you said, there's freaking declassified documents now that talk about all this. There's CIA declassified documents that talk about how you create your own reality and you live in a hologram, like a
Right.
simulation slash hologram, and your consciousness creates your reality and how that where the science of how that works. There's friggin' those are real CIA
Right.
documents. But then we're
One of-
told no, none of that stuff's real. None of that stuff's real.
Right. And one of the patents I put in my book
Hilarious.
is the walking through walls training system. And it literally talks about literally shifting your frequency to pass to a solid object.
Right.
My neighbor is in the chat right now, and she said one of those security guys came to her house and wouldn't leave. She shut the door and he kept talking. Yeah, it was hard to get rid of that guy. That's funny.
That's
Corroborating evidence right there. Um,
right.
yeah, so I actually, the reason I said that is because I do know I have a friend who is an ethical hacker. Companies hire him to hack their own system to find their
Really.
weakness. Yeah. And he's the one who told me, he's like, they literally are given like basically a display home to hack. And the display home will have a Ring doorbell, a smart fridge, smart TV, and they're able, 9 times out of 10, a good hacker can literally access every single one of those devices. And then he said the like final test that he had to do was a home that had no security system, and they're like, hack this home. And they didn't tell him anything about it. He found the smart fridge and was able to get into the smart fridge that has a camera in it and turn the camera on in the smart fridge and watch the people in the home. Obviously, it was all like a setup. It wasn't like they were invading anyone's privacy. And after talking to him, he was adamant. He's like the best security system you can have today is a dog. Like don't even put
Really.
the don't even, he was like he goes, I do this for a living. I don't have cameras in my house because of it. Um, and I just found it very interesting that like this is somebody who understands this stuff. You would
Is
think,
you can hack cameras easily,
yeah,
right?
it's pretty, but he made it sound like it was so easy. Like it's just
Hmm.
because it's such a new market and like
Hmm.
probably this like think about it for the longest time. Like the CIA, who knows like how they've been using these devices to monitor us. But then it's only a matter of time before like these black market hackers come in and
Right. Well, we've all heard that, you know, the camera on your computer, your smart TV,
Snowden, yeah,
um, anything in your house that has a camera, essentially, that especially if it's hooked up to Wi-Fi or the internet. Um, yeah, the NSA is always, or probably other intelligence agencies are always gathering that video. It's not like they're constantly watching it all the time, but they're
right,
always collecting it. It's always on a feed, right? And
right,
if they want to target you, boom, they got all that video, all your texts, all your emails, all your cell phone communications, everything. Um, Probably even, you know, I think that's even down to like your thoughts as
yeah,
well, because as I've experienced many, I think you have many others. I've just thought of things, not even spoken them, searched them, nothing, thought. I go on Facebook, I go on Instagram, there's ads that pop up for that very specific thing that I just thought about.
Yeah. Yeah, no,
And that's happened so
100%.
many times, it's not a coincidence. So they have technologies that read your thoughts, and that's going into a database as well. So,
Right. Well, okay, so then you can like there's a fine line between okay, what is like reading your thoughts and what is actually like what is the algorithm within the technology that's like making you think that they're reading your thoughts. And I had this conversation with somebody
mhm.
who understands the cell phone, the algorithm and social media, and he said that it's so sophisticated that if you're scrolling and you even slow down, it knows and look at a certain part of the screen, it knows that you slowed down and focused, and it can read your pupils and know the reaction that you had,
Yeah,
and it'll give you more of that. So it's not like not necessarily reading your thoughts, but it's reading your pupils, which is it essentially it is reading your thoughts, but it's just a
yeah,
scientific way approach. But
right,
that's like that is the technology. It knows if you scroll down, if you stare at a certain part of the screen for an extended period of time over others, it knows like you don't have to click on anything. Like
right,
that's the scary thing.
right, right, right.
Um,
Yep. And, as we know, there's way more advanced technologies than most people know exists that are being used that they have. Obviously, everything's compartmentalized, so you can't just go to the public layers and be like, "Oh, look, nothing's here, doesn't exist." And like, no, it doesn't work that way. It's all
mhm.
very compartmentalized,
Yeah,
deep black stuff,
yeah.
unacknowledged special access programs, and
Or you'll find evidence of it, but it's not been like officially verified, so it's still gonna be
right,
weird.
right. So, it's funny because the more you get into this stuff, the more you research it, um, the more obvious it becomes how the system works. Of like, it's like, do you really think they didn't? It's all very well thought out. It's all been going on for way longer than you think, and it's all way more advanced than you think. And then it's like people who don't understand that or just don't believe that think, oh, I'm just gonna like do a Google search, or oh, I'm just gonna like go to these surface level things or go to the government surface level, and go to Lockheed Martin. Oh, I work there. I would know if that exists.
Right,
Oh, I went here. It doesn't exist. Like, it's like you don't understand. This stuff is buried. This stuff is designed so you will not ever find it.
right.
And even if you work in a company, an aerospace company, or even if you work at the CIA or whatever agency or whatever program, that does not mean you're going to know. In fact, it's way more likely you're not going to know, because think about it's all need to know, it's all compartmentalized,
Right.
and only a very small number of people that are in that program or in that compartment are ever going to know that it exists.
You know what's ironic about the intelligence agency is that the only people that get suckered into it, like they can't like I think the intelligent people avoid it, right?
Hmm.
Like the intelligent people don't join the
Yeah.
intelligence community.
Right.
You know what
Right.
I'm saying? Like it's ironic, like because they actually go after the people who are the yes men or who have lower IQs that they can manipulate.
More psychopathic,
Yeah.
even, I would argue.
Not that they're not like smart and intelligent,
Psychopaths are very
but
smart.
but they lack the I don't know, common sense, like the
They
intuition, like
they
it's like
lack wisdom, they lack
right,
morality. They want people who are going to obey orders and who are going to think like them, and be good men to fulfill their agendas and play the role,
they don't want anybody who's
So
going to ask questions.
right. So just think of like any company or any job where like they have in mind a certain type of person that they want. And if you don't fit that, you're not going to get the job. It's just like that. Why would it be any other way, right?
Right.
So if you have psychopaths that are basically in a cult, which is what the case, unfortunately, running these organizations, who do you think they're going to want working in those organizations? People that think like them, people that are more like them, more
That they control.
psychopathic,
Right.
more um, egocentric, more willing to have the less empathy you have for your fellow man, the better,
Or
right?
just someone who's been traumatized and
Someone
they're
who's been
unhealed.
traumatized,
Yeah.
right? Very unhealed. Like that's the type of people. And then remember Mason Fury's story. when he,
Right.
what was it, the was it DOD or something?
And no, Geospatial Intelligence
That's
Agency.
right.
Yeah.
That's right. But remember, he like started seeing some things, and then he just from him making a couple comments, they were like, "You're out.
They push him out the
You're not
door.
one of us. Get out of
Right.
here."
Yep. Anything of suspicion, like you can't say it.
Yeah.
Um, so
And
one of
he saw the psychopathic stuff from the inside and the cult
right.
stuff from the inside.
Actually, that's like such an incredible story that I don't think like he doesn't tell it enough because I understand it's traumatic and stuff. But that
Hmm.
episode, whatever episode number that is, Mason Fury, the first time we had him on, like where he tells that story, it's like it's like a pretty good testimony.
It's powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, it's interesting to see where this conversation went just because we kind of had no direction.
Right.
But
It
I
is.
do I do want to go to the news about the UK is about to try and dim the sun. Yes, you read that right. In the next few days, Britain will begin geoengineering experiments to block sunlight from reaching the Earth. Like we know they've been talking about this for quite some time, and the chemtrails have been doing this. But like I've been seeing the articles, it's like, okay. I've seen even like some like Alexis Buck from Ascension Diaries. She was like she shared something and she was like, please let's collectively avoid this timeline. Like let's
Yeah.
do this. We don't have to like we don't have to submit to that, right? Um,
Right.
I don't know what it looks like that's not good news, right? We don't want that to happen, but I think it's always like they're telling us what they had planned for us for sure. And two, it's they're desperately trying to like lock in a lower timeline, even though like the split has already occurred and like we have this golden age timeline, like we're at the precipice of something great, but they're just going all in right now.
They're desperate.
Yeah.
You nailed it with the word desperate. Um, which, it's what I feel like I beat a dead horse. I'm always saying this, but it's just so true, and people need to realize this is what's happening. They're desperate. We're at the end game. They know they're losing. They know the awakening is happening, the ascension is happening, but they're desperate. They will, the people at the top I'm talking about of the pyramid of control are going to go bye-bye. They're done. They will cease to be, at least on this plane of existence, or on this planet at least, if they don't retain power.
Right.
So they and keep their loosh harvesting system going. So they're desperate right now because they're being taken out. The awakening is happening, which is, their food source is diminishing by the day constantly. Their energy grids that they've set up are diminishing constantly.
I just thought
So
of
they have to like do these more outlandish, overt things as these Hail Mary last ditch things, trying, even though it's not going to work in my opinion. And the great thing about that is it's waking more people up faster. It's just backfiring because now everyone's saying, "Oh crap, they called this a crazy conspiracy just like 5 years ago." Now they're like announcing it to the world. Oh yeah, we're trying to block out the sun, while at the same time they're trying to tell everyone to go solar powered. So they're, wait, they're telling you we're gonna go solar powered, but then we're also telling you we're blocking out the sun.
right.
So like just that alone, So
Well,
they're, yeah, it's just speeding up the awakening and speeding their demise. So they're desperate.
what's this guy's name? Yeah, another thing, really, there's a few things I want to get into. You just reminded me of something, but um while we're on that topic, I read this today, scrolling through. Scientists are warning of a serious decline in honeybees, but Bill Gates has a plan of replacing bees with robo bees.
Oh yeah,
And
what a great
it's a
plan.
whole article about robot bees. I'm like, dude, like get me off this transhumanism timeline. Like that this shit is not my reality, right? Um,
Yeah, I do not consent.
No, it's hilarious, and what's been coming up a lot lately is the power, like the honeybee and like the honey itself and the honeycomb. Like it's
Hmm.
we did this whole meditation while I was in Egypt because I got this download and Abby Lynn had me lead this meditation, which I didn't even plan on, but it was like how like the honeybee is like has a measurable, tangible honey has a
Yeah,
tangible, measurable aura, a golden aura, and
yeah,
it's literally like DNA activating whenever you utilize it properly, and even the pollen itself like has all these like health properties, but the
Yeah.
it's helps with longevity of life, all these amazing things, and it helps like literally like cellular regeneration. It helps with,
Yeah.
and all this like constantly for me, like honeybees and bees have been coming up as like this
There-
something that I should focus on. And then here they are, right in the midst of all these synchronicities, trying to replace bees with robots. Like,
yeah.
you know,
Yeah. And even before that, do you think the killing off of the bees was just an accident?
no,
They've been intentionally doing that for years now. And now they're like, oh yeah, we're just going to replace them with robots. It's fine. Don't worry about
right. No,
it. Like
there's
that's going to solve the
even
issue.
one time I was at ESETI and I was meditating by this tree over way off the beaten path.
Hmm.
And I opened my eyes because there was all this buzzing by my head. And I was literally sitting under a beehive and there was like hundreds of bees like swarming, flying above me. And I was like, first wanted to like jump up in fear and run away. But then something just told me, no, stay calm. Like they're not going to hurt you. So I just like surrendered to it. And I sat there at the base of this tree and I closed my eyes and trusted that like nothing was going to happen. And every once in a while I would open and these bees were like spiraling around me and the tree. And what happened was it was one of the most powerful meditations of my life because their vibration was activating my pineal gland.
Hmm.
And I just like left my body in that moment, but it was specifically their frequency. And I'm like, oh, like we don't even understand bees. Like they're so magical. And like
They levitate. They bees fly through anti-gravity levitation.
mm,
Um, that's why they say bees shouldn't be able to fly because by the Newtonian bullshit laws of physics that we're taught, yeah,
right,
that doesn't work because their wings aren't. It's not able, to do it that
oh,
way. It's because they're levitating. That's how they
right.
fly.
Somebody just said just watch Jupiter Ascending again. The bees and Jupiter Ascending. Like that's a whole thing for like
Right.
the main
That's
character.
right. Disclosure. There you go.
Um, Yeah, so anyway, like that, there's a reason they're targeting the bees and the sun, like all the bringers of life, like everything
Mhm.
that's gonna like assist in the ascension that you need, they're trying to block out. And
Right.
there's this guy out there, my friend's been sending me videos of him, like he thinks like he doesn't even talk to people that wear sunglasses anymore because he thinks they're the normies. He's like he says like the truly awakened people don't wear sunglasses because
Yeah, I
um
stopped wearing sunglasses like 20 plus years
right.
ago.
But because you get all these keys and codes from the sun, and like your
Mhm.
body, like it literally activates you, and it's like part of this DNA upgrade. But when
Right.
you're wearing sunglasses, you're blocking that all the time,
Right.
and it's actually like you can actually wearing sunglasses will help you get skin cancer, according to this guy, like
Yeah.
because your body's not absorbing the nutrients to
You're
live in harmony with the sun.
you're not getting the stuff you need from the sun through your eyeballs,
Right.
blocking
But
it. Right.
but you're also like you have a negative relationship with the bringer of life, right?
Right.
So like you're constantly putting sunscreen on and sunglasses to block it
Eh,
instead of like absorbing it and living
Oh,
with it and
oh yeah.
letting, you know what I'm saying?
And the sunscreen has toxic chemicals in it that you're rubbing and you're like, yeah, both of those things are so bad, but that's what we're taught to do. And that's what people just think, oh, this is what you do. This is
Right.
normal.
So you just have to change your relationship with the sun, really, you know.
Right.
And yeah, too much of anything isn't good. You can't just go out there and boil like in, burn your
Right.
skin. You just
Right.
have moderation.
And and coconut oil and other natural things are good natural sunblock that are good for your skin and good for your body that you can do as well. But like you said, you still don't want to go bake in the sun for hours and hours on end. That's
Oh.
also not going to be good.
Well, it,
But you do need a good amount of sun every day, and most people are not getting nearly enough vitamin
no.
D from the sun and other good things. Not just
Yeah.
vitamin D, but there's lots of other things you get.
Yeah, it's a very American thing. Maybe not just American, but just to go sunbathe, right? Not to, like European, like
Yeah.
it's very cultural. And but if you go to the parts of the world that have the most intense heat and sun, like Egypt,
Hmm.
they cover up. They're not out
Right.
in the sun all day long. They don't even need sunblock because they're dressed appropriately for it, right?
Right.
And it's about covering up and being in the shade, and there's ways to do it without just lathering up every day, you know. So
Right. Right.
that was our conversation about the sun.
And then
So
there's
there,
sun gazing, which you have to do it right. You do it at sunset or sunrise, and even then you got to work your way up to like
right,
doing it. You can't just like, oh, I'm gonna just immediately for 20 minutes. You know,
right.
you gotta do it right. But that is a very powerful thing in activating of the pineal gland and of your DNA as well.
I'm trying to find that former 33, actually he was like a 92nd degree Mason or something. Um, that video I sent you. I can't think of the guy's name. His first name is Bill, like Schnowberger. I don't even know. Because I want to talk about something in his testimony that I find very, very fascinating. Anyway, he's a former Satanist, essentially. He was a Mason. He just was recently interviewed on David Nino Rodriguez interviewed him. He was on a few other podcasts recently, but he has a couple books out, and he claims that he was once he was a vampire, like an actual vampire, like he was going up the ranks in Freemasonry, and he explains in his story, you get to a certain point where you literally choose to go werewolf or vampire in a very real sense. And he has like the most incredible stories. And he went vampire, and for a year and a half, he didn't do anything but drink blood, no food. Like they don't even like your body changes. You go through this 3 day metamorphosis, and when you come out of it, you're not technically human anymore. And he would describe how like he suddenly you can smell blood, and like you could like you constantly like that's all you can think about. You actually become like blood, you fiend for it, and he says it's actually horrible. And
Yeah, I'm sure.
the interviewer was asking him about like his teeth, and he said, you don't understand, like whenever you transform, you shapeshift. And he said my teeth would grow fangs when it was time to feast, and like it would like literally go back when he was done. And he was explaining all the stuff, and he talked about how like what would happen to the guys that became werewolves, and how like one of these werewolves like jumped on a Bible one time and like burned up because the Bible like it couldn't even like handle the frequency of the Bible. But the whole reason I'm telling the story is because I was what I found the most fascinating was he claimed to been and have been initiated into this on the planet Saturn, like very physically. At first he thought he was dreaming until he realized he wasn't. So he got taken out of his bedroom like a UFO abduction right through the ceiling of his house. And he went through space to the one of the moons of Saturn. And then he eventually went to Saturn, where he was taken to this obsidian palace, this black obsidian palace where like this 15-foot tall like Baphomet thing was, that literally stuck like this thing like this horn into his forehead and said, you're mine now. And basically it was this initiation process. And like he explained the whole thing in great detail, like all the whole details of like down to the very small details about Saturn and everything that he saw. And then whenever he was done, he was literally sent back through space in a ball of fire, he says. Like, and he like entered the Earth's atmosphere, and then they set him in his backyard on fire. When he woke up, the grass around him was burnt and smoldering. He wasn't even in his bed. And like the whole time he thought like it was a dream until he realized that it was physically happening to him. And then he had to go back inside. He said he had the worst migraine headache. He went inside. He was still living with his mom at the time. And he had to go bandage up his forehead from where he stuck that thing in his head. His forehead was bleeding. Like he had all the real physical things of going to Saturn and being initiated into this vampire thing. And I'm like, we have no idea
Yeah.
what's going on in this planet. If this is a true
Oh yeah.
story, we literally have no clue like the nature of reality and
No,
what
we've been
these
living in
secret
the
societies.
Truman
Yeah,
Show. We've been indoctrinated and living in the Truman Show, fake reality. This is all the stuff that's going on unbeknownst to most people.
right.
Um, so was he pretty young? Then it sounds like if he was living with his parents
Yeah, when
still,
that happened, that was when he was young.
because he
And he
looks
said,
pretty old in the interviews now.
yeah, well, he claims to have been like saved by Jesus. Like
Okay, that was my next question. Like, how did he get out of that? And
yeah, so he was a year and a half into his vampirism, where before you become like a full like eternal vampire, he says. Like the whole purpose of that path is to become eternal. You escape death, you escape karma and all these things. And
Tried escape karma.
yeah, but
Yeah.
that's the whole plan, the path, right?
Right. Right.
And he said the purpose of the werewolves too, by the way, was to guard the ritual sites. So like the dogman slash werewolves, they were literally the guardians of the ritual sites where they would perform all this crap and whatever.
Oh, that explains the dogmen stuff.
Yeah, so if you try to get close to oh my God, I can't Bohemian Grove or something like that, like
Hmm.
there's dogman sightings around there. And they're like he said their roles, they have two roles. They're assassins and they're ritual guardians. And he goes, if they need to take somebody out, they'll go take somebody out, and then people will just think they were killed by a wild animal, you know?
Hmm.
But he
Right.
said he got like a year and a half into his like vampire path, and something happened. He was literally saved. These like girls came to his house, and it was like a very real people, but they weren't
Hmm.
actual people. They were, but you know how it is.
Yeah.
And it was he was basically saved by Jesus, like something like he had a higher path, and like he's able to tell a story and write the books and everything. Dude, I was like so blown away by this testimony. Like these secret society guys, like they're starting to come out now, and I'm just like,
Right.
this explains everything. Like if the elites are operating at this level, this is how they function. And like he was explaining the Twilight movies were done to like recruit people to sell vampirism as very sexy and
I believe
romantic.
it.
And he
Yep.
said it's the exact opposite of sexy and romantic. He's like, you aren't having sex like he could you're having sex. Like that's not it. But he goes, it's like one of the side effects of going the vampire route is you have horrible breath. Like and he said you constantly have to like use mouthwash because you just stink because your body's changing and you're not eating food anymore. And he said it's not.
It sounds like a living hell
Yeah,
too.
he it is. It is.
Yeah.
But
That you don't
but
realize until it's too late and then you're locked into it.
right.
Yeah.
Because they're always promising the next best thing.
Right.
And
They deceive you into it. Right.
right. And then another thing that he talked about, which I found interesting, was that the he talked about how the devil gives what did he call it? Something that he had a phrase for it, but basically like the devil can give synchronicities just like the God can, right? And he said
Hmm.
they'll put synchronicities in your path that lead you to these false fortunes and like lead you astray.
You
And but
always got to be testing
yeah,
that too.
yeah,
Yeah.
always testing that. So
Hmm.
it was such a value like invaluable information, and I just found it absolutely fascinating. But he was like, talking about the power of Christ and like that's like they can't stand that energy, whatever
He's a
is
powerful
happening.
being.
Yeah,
Yeah.
whatever is happening with that, like that's why I think they hate Trump because Trump's trying to bring Christianity back and like actually
And that's what
praying and yeah,
right. Well, that and then that's why they had to destroy Yeshua Christ's uh, original message and distort it and be like, oh no, you're this horrible sinner that needs to be saved, and you're worthless outside of being saved, and
right.
it's all about living for some other place outside of this. Like it's all an inversion of his. He's trying
Right.
to say you're the same as me. I'm trying to wake you up to what you are, and real salvation. It's like okay, yeah, you do. It is being saved, but it's not. You're the one doing it still. If you got to follow him because he's showing you the way
Right.
and and it's like he can help you, but ultimately you got to help yourself, and you got to.
Oh,
It's about raising your frequency to a level where you're not going to go to some horrible place once you die because you're not on that frequency. But instead, the message it turned into, oh no, give your power away to Jesus so he saves you from this horrible place.
right.
And it's like, no, that's not at all his message.
You know what else he said? He said one of the places, he said there were two places that he would feed for the blood. He said one, like every city has clubs, like vampire clubs underground where
Hmm.
you go and people literally like will suck blood out of each other's necks and stuff like the movies. And the guy was like, well, how does that work? He's like, just like the vampire bats. Like a vampire bat will actually numb your skin so you don't even feel the fangs. You don't even know they're on
Hmm.
you, sucking blood out of you because you literally don't feel it. He said the same thing happens when you go the vampire route. Your saliva changes, and he even had a dentist had to wear gloves. His dentist had to wear gloves because the dentist's hands were going numb working on him because of his saliva.
Really?
Yeah, see, so he said
Wow.
you're once you grow those fangs, the saliva, whenever you bite into like a girl's neck, it's a euphoric thing for them. They don't feel it, and it actually like it's like a high. He said it's almost like doing cocaine. And
Mm.
but he said the other place where they would drink blood to go feed was the Catholic churches. And
Yep, not surprising.
he said whenever the wine, whenever you turn the whatever the chalice, you turn the wine
Yeah.
into the blood of Jesus or
Or it's
whatever.
supposed to be the blood of Jesus. Yeah, the wine.
Right. He said the actual ritual they would perform, he goes, literally turned this stuff into blood. Like it was an actual alchemy, he said. And
Hmm.
he spilled some of it on this white cloth that has to come with the ceremony. Like he spilled some of it on the white cloth and he wanted to know because he was like learning about it. And he took it to have it analyzed and it was blood. And the guy said it's blood from an entirely unknown species. Like, and, but
Yeah,
it, so
there you
it's
go.
like, the alchemy is real, you know?
Yeah. Oh yeah. This stuff's
And yes, it's just absolutely mind-blowing stuff. Um,
yep.
yeah, you were just saying something. I forgot, but I guess it doesn't matter.
Somebody said, oh, Victor said, like in the movie Blade, also disclosure, Blade, the
Yeah,
Blade
yeah,
movie.
right.
Yep.
I mean, they make it sexy. They're like,
But again, they make it
yeah,
sexy, like, oh, look how sexy and cool it is.
right.
Probably
So
another recruitment thing.
yeah, seriously, like you because like Twilight. I mean, how many girls watched that movie and loved it, you know, and like and they
Right.
wanted that romantic thing. And guess what else is in Twilight? Like the werewolves too. Like they turn into these wolves and
Right. Well, it explains why there's so many vampire movies and shows pop that have been popping up over the last
right.
few decades, really, you know.
Yeah.
The Vampire Diaries, there's like all these vampire things. And then there's also, you know, and that also made me wonder about all the post-apocalyptic and zombie things that have been all over the place. It's like, to me, that is them trying to get us to manifest that negative timeline where that actually happens,
Right.
right?
Yeah, he explained it. He just like being a part of it, he explained how horrible it was, even while he was in it.
Hmm.
Like you just hate your life. You hate like you just don't even like you're going on this path to become eternal, but like you said earlier, you're so far into it, like you can't turn back. So you
The
just got to
eternal
keep
hell,
going.
though, it's
Right.
like, oh yeah, I want to live forever, but what they don't tell you is you're going to live forever in a living hell, and you're going to wish for death probably every day.
Right. He said they literally like all they do is like snort cocaine and have sex and like do perform these rituals and like live that life and like this party life.
And
And
yeah, and maybe for like a few
they,
months that's
yeah.
exciting until it's not
But he said it
anymore.
becomes their actual diet. Like they
Hmm.
don't even eat food anymore. It just was blowing me away. So
Yeah.
um I'll actually share that interview.
Did
I'll
he
put
say
it
how long? Did he say how long he was in that until
he
he was
he was
rescued?
only in the vampire for a year and a half, but as long how long he was into the like a cult, the secret societies, like
Yeah.
his experience on Saturn happened as a young man. So when he still lived at home.
Oh, so it was so
Yeah,
a long time.
he said after he was returned from Saturn in his backyard, and basically charred, um, his life took a turn for the worse, and like he was like serving the devil for a long time, and
And then it
not
was like a year and a half of.
once he finally went vampire, chose that route
Mhm.
because he said that just the more sexy route, not meant more people go that way than werewolf.
Mhm.
Um, he said once he did that, he was in it for a year and a half before he was saved, and um, he said the best part about being saved was being able to eat again. Like he said you want food, but your body rejects it. You can't have it.
Mm.
And so you just constantly look for blood because it's the only thing that keeps you going. And he explained adrenochrome too and the elites and like all he said it's all real. Like
It's all real. Yep.
yeah, and that's what they
Yep.
thrive on. And then basically once you start that you can't. That's you just need. He goes. You increasingly need more and more. Like you can't go on a diet. You always need more. And he goes, that's the
Mhm.
trap, you know.
Yep. Yep.
Um, anyway, so I don't know where we go after that. Does anybody have any questions for us in the chat? This is the final countdown for the conference coming up. It's going to be a lot of fun. May 12th, 15 days away. We have a cryptocurrency panel we just added. Jace from Cosmic Origins, Aaron and Patrick Riley going to get up there and drop some knowledge about this financial reset and the RV and all the stuff that's supposed to happen that we're still waiting on. But there's something very real there. It's just not playing out like anybody thought, but we're going to evaluate that and it's going to be amazing. So I'm really excited for that panel, actually. I
I'm
think a lot of
excited.
people I think a lot of people are going to enjoy it. I think Tuesday, ironically, is like the day we have the most day passes. Tuesday is going to be a packed house in there.
Oh yeah.
So there's going to be quite a bit of people there for that. Victitious. Is that you, Victor?
Yeah, that's
Victitious?
Victor.
Victor. Oh, so Victor made our schedules. He's an amazing graphic designer and he made our schedules. He did them last year and he did them this year. They just got printed out. They turned out amazing. And
Yep.
thank you so much for that,
Yeah,
Victor.
thank you, Victor.
Yeah.
You're amazing.
Um, Loved the interview with Laura. I guess they mean Laura Van Tyne, maybe? Yeah, it's me, Victor.
That
What's up, brother?
I think she meant your solo interview with Laura.
Oh, yeah,
You
probably.
just said.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I just did one with Laura. That's right. Um, yeah, that was a good interview. I enjoyed that one. I've
And
been
then
doing
your
a few interviews about my book. I just did one with Jock
Jock
Doubleday.
Doubleday today. Yeah.
I did one with Sherry Divband. It actually gained some traction and it's doing pretty well.
Nice.
I did one with Laura Eisenhower. And
Hmm.
then I have a couple coming up this week, and I I might be even forgetting one, but yeah.
Speaking of Laura, realized she never did a solo one with me for my book, so so we're doing it in
Oh,
like a week.
nice,
In like a week, yeah. So I'll be doing one with Laura
nice.
here soon.
Do they have souls? NPC. Oh, can you talk about NPCs? Do they have souls? That's a. I mean, that's the question, right? I think I think some of them might be carrying a fragment of a soul. We
Yeah.
talked about this in our clone webinar, where what happens with these NPC types and these clones and whatever it is, there's like they're engineered in a way to where the soul can't actually enter the body fully, but it's
Hmm.
constantly trying to enter the body, and it creates this like I don't even this I don't know what word I'm looking for, but it creates this disconnect, right,
Yeah.
with the human so they don't actually like understand that they're a soul because their soul isn't even fully like in their body.
In the
It's hard to
body.
yeah. So
It's
I would
just enough to animate the body and to have some level of consciousness, but it's like just enough, and then the rest is not able to enter. That's the
right,
way I look at it, and that from everything I've seen and read too, that's seems
right,
to be what's happening. It's like people don't think about that, right? You just think, oh, your soul is just in your body or it's out like a binary thing. Well,
right.
that's actually not how it works at all. You can have more or less of your soul um, present in your body
Mhm.
and I think there's levels to that. And so I think what you could call an NPC is like someone who has a very minimal or small amount of a soul incarnated into the body so that it behaves kind of robotic and zombie-like and just,
Right.
doesn't really know how to think for itself, just kind of obeys commands and not a whole lot of even feeling or emotions or not much going on, we meet people like that all the time, right? Well, when you realize what's going on here, it explains a lot. And there's many people that talk about this. Dolores Cannon talked about it, or it came through her sessions over and over, and she called them the background people
Right.
rather than the term NPC wasn't really around yet. So she was like, oh, they're like the background people because she related it to like a movie, like extras in a movie. And it's like, well, technically there's a soul there, but they're kind of just operating like extras in a movie or like robots being programmed and don't it's kind of like I feel like at any moment in time someone like that could awaken more and could call more of their soul into their body but
Yeah. If a
it's
catalyst occurs,
if
yeah.
a catalyst occurs or if it's like their divine timing to do that, but it seems like for the most part they're just kind of in this incarnation as that.
Okay. I found the thing I was looking for, but it's very hard to read. It's from our clone webinar. Okay. Bring this closer. So this is from the book Shining the Light, actually. We referenced it in the clone webinar. It's about clones and souls. And the person was asking, is channeled information, do they have souls? And he said, um, I would rather say that they have a diminished soul, for that is an influence down there as well. And they have what is called a stranded, diminished spirit. And he said, why would a spirit or soul occupy a body like that? And then he says, all life has some soul and some spirit, but the people who are generating these beings wish to have the minimum amount of soul and soul them. You don't understand, and the minimum amount of spirit. That's part of the reason they use the crystal matrix and all this business as so as to deflect the natural spirit that would enter the body. At the base of the skull and at the very bottom of the spine, the coccyx, there are installed crystal devices, which tend to deflect the entrance of the spirit soul energy. Nevertheless, some gets in, but not much. So, what you were saying, you have to remember these beings are created. How can we say, hang on. Oh, so he asked a question. He goes, but I thought the soul created its own body. Why on earth would it choose to come and have this experience? He said, you have to remember these beings are created. I know what you were saying, that all souls will choose that before the form exists, there is a soul. But to put not too much fine a point on it, before the soul exists, there is a spirit. Then there is a soul as form is taking place. So it gets very complicated because these people are denied their natural growth cycle until they get to be 20 years old. And spirit and soul are greatly deflected. So the spirit may be present elsewhere and is constantly attempting to get inside the body, but is constantly being deflected, and the soul does not have a chance to grow through the interaction with normal human experience or life experience. So here we have a situation in which the soul does not choose this experience, the spirit does not choose this experience. The spirit intends to have an upliftment of this being, but it is an uphill battle. It can be done, but it will take time, and essentially, it will take at some point interference from outside forces to ensoul and inspirit these beings fully. So that kind of explains more detail what you just explained, Aaron.
Yeah.
And that is from our clone webinar. If anybody's interested in watching that, you can go to our website and find all of our webinars. It's a very long webinar, and also a very good one. Um, Let me go back to this. Wow is the comment. Somebody,
Yeah.
wow. And the book is called Shining the Light. If anybody wants to just pick the book up and read it for
Mm.
themselves.
There's, by the way, there's seven Shining the Light books. So
The first one. Yeah,
that's from book one. Yeah, the
right.
first one. I think the first one's, I mean, I read like half of book two and I skimmed through a bunch of the other ones. I have six. I have the first six.
Wow.
Um, the first one almost still seems like my favorite from what I've read.
See,
It's
that
just
one, like you can, it's like every time you open it up, there's new information in the book or something. It's like we're
right,
like it's so much in there.
right.
Um,
It's the most like dense as far as like because the other ones are a lot longer and it just seems like there's a lot more filler kind of stuff in
right,
the other ones from what I could tell. That one is just like straight.
right,
Thing is amazing.
right. Well, I guess who's the author? So it's called the Light Technology Research Team. It's like five authors. It's a
Or at least
compilation.
three in the first book.
Yeah,
Tom Dongo is one of them, by the way,
yeah,
who we've had on the show, and many of you know.
yep.
Um,
Robert Shapiro.
Robert Shapiro, who is like a channeler, and I forget what else.
Yeah, so
Um,
there's a few authors. It's a compilation of material. So
yeah, all the Shining Light books are like that. They're all
right.
multiple authors,
Um, yeah, so
and they're all from the '90s, by the way, too. That first one came out in '94, and then there's like one each year up to like I think 2000 was when the last one came out.
right.
So they're all that old. but
Well,
just as relevant info, you know. It's great when you read a book that old and it's like this book could have been released today and it's just as relevant.
well, that's kind of where I was getting at with like the episodes we just did, the last two episodes, like that. Those conversations will be relevant 100 years from now. Like,
Hmm.
like
Right.
it's just when you're talking about stuff that's like true, and you're not covering the surface level distractions, like
Right.
it's gold. I call it gold content, right? Gold material, right?
Hmm.
It'll last forever. Um,
Yeah, exactly. And that's why, you know, I have a lot of books that are from the 80s and early to mid 90s, or even the 70s, you know, some from the 70s, some even from a couple even from the 60s.
right,
And some of them were, especially like the 60s and 70s, some of those, especially the ones that are more like information based, you can tell it's like dated and there's stuff either they get wrong or that's not, they're it's missing a lot of updated information. But then the majority of them, though, it's like, man, this could have been released today, and it's completely just as relevant and just as good. And that's more of the higher level information, like you said. It's more of the conceptual, higher level kind of wisdom based kind of stuff. That's like this is always relevant. This is always important, and you know that's why books released hundreds of years ago, and the Bible, and the you know the
right.
Vedas, and the Bhagavad Gita. You know, it's why those are still relevant for the same reason, right?
Right. Right. Well, I guess we're going to start wrapping this up, guys. Thank you for joining us tonight. And if you feel compelled at all to join us at the conference, tickets are still available. And if you can't make it, grab a live stream pass, a virtual pass. It's a very professionally done recording. You'll get to watch the replay for 6 months, and it's a great deal. So, and it'll be interactive with the Telegram group that's on the website. So if you're watching the live stream from home and you get in the Telegram group and you're asking questions for the speaker, we might actually get to your question. So it's interactive as much as we make it as we can make it. So yeah, just take advantage of that. Journey to Truth.online has all that information, and we can't wait to see you there. 15 days away, and it's going to be a party. The weather's looking great. You know, I'm
Yes.
excited. I'm ready for the bonfires. We have Lala Deaton joining us this year to do some music, and it's just going to be a lot of fun.
Amazing vendors and
Yeah,
amazing people in general.
right. It's like a disclosure summer camp.
That's exactly what it feels like.
It's all
Yeah.
out in nature. Like I don't think people
Yeah.
understand. It's not just a hotel conference. We're like it's literally like a summer camp getaway vacation that just happens to be talking about disclosure.
It's at a lodge that's on this beautiful grounds. That's all nature and not a Masonic lodge, by the way. It's just
Right,
a normal lodge, which there are many of those all around the world that are you like you know, I was almost like, do some people not realize that there are just normal lodges, that every lodge isn't a Masonic
right.
lodge?
Yeah, they just hear the
Because
word
it almost
lodge.
felt like that with that rumor going around, like, oh, look, it's at a lodge. That means it's a Masonic. Like, no, it's just a normal lodge. Nothing Masonic about it. And even if it was, that doesn't mean anything. Like, Rob Potter has been doing his conference partly at a Masonic lodge for like 20 years, you know, and
Right.
no one says a word about that.
Julie said, "Where's the
Anyways,
conference?" At the Pure Marquette Lodge in Grafton, Illinois.
yeah,
It's just 43 miles from St. Louis Airport, St. Louis Lambert Internationals, where you'll fly into,
yeah,
and it's basically Metro St. Louis, but it's
yeah.
right on the Illinois River. Absolutely beautiful. It's like in this wooded, hilly area with these trails, and it doesn't even seem like it belongs in Illinois. It's like this little diamond in the rough there.
It's not like most of Illinois. It's very, very beautiful, lots of trees, right on the Illinois River, like you said.
This is my story said, I wish I was going this time, but maybe next one. Too many irons in the fire this time to leave town. Um, well, you could just use my motto and book the trip and take the hit, and then just figure it out when you get back.
Book the trip and take the hit,
They,
bro.
a guy told me that whenever I wanted to go to the cosmic
Waves.
waves in Hawaii. I was working construction. It was 2019. I really wanted to go, but I just simply like couldn't afford it. I was like, man, I want to go. He was, how bad do you want to go? I was like, literally more than anything. And he's like, dude, you're never gonna be able to afford it. Like, imagine how long you'll have to work before you'll be able to afford a trip like that. He'll just book the trip and take the hit and figure it out when you get back. And I said, that's it. I'm doing that. Thank you.
You're like, book the
Like,
trip.
dude, book the
The
trip
hit.
and take the hit. Yeah, because you can't, you
Yeah.
keep telling yourself these stories like, oh, like you're trying to like have everything set up perfectly and like get all your ducks in a row. And, but you can just be
And then you're never
spontaneous.
gonna end up doing
Yeah.
anything.
Like how
You know?
perfect does it have to get before you can book the trip, right? So I just
Right.
went and dude, it was the best decision I ever made. And
Yep.
um, it
Life
changed everything.
changing. Life changing.
So this is my story. If I don't see you at the conference after you just heard that, then um, no, I'm just messing. Yeah, the next one is in Hawaii though, unfortunately, and fortunately for the people who can make it, fortunately, but it's going to be a bigger, more expensive. He just said, "Hey, I like your idea. Well, you might just see me there. Money isn't the issue, but you never know." Yeah, I mean, just feel into it. Like I'll never,
Yeah.
I'm not trying to encourage anybody to go do something like irresponsible, but that
Or at
was,
least you can
yeah,
buy a live stream pass if you're like, ah, I can't really make it in person or it's too expensive. Well, you can snag a live stream for what is it, $88?
yep,
And
yep,
there you get to see it virtually. Pretty
yep.
good deal.
Victor, you're coming to Hawaii. You're small enough. I'll just put you in my suitcase.
right,
You're
right.
coming.
We'll just pack you in.
Yeah, we'll
Yes.
put you in the overhead. You're good. Um, yeah,
Hold on, there was one comment.
okay.
Oh, what are the names of each of your books? Tyler, do you
Oh,
want to go first?
yeah. So mine is Bleed Through Tales from Another Timeline. Just came out like 2 weeks ago exactly, and yeah, it's about my personal experiences and literally memories from other timelines. It's about dream warfare, astral interference, and it gets into like the quantum nature of like the many worlds theory of quantum mechanics and all my targeting. I mean, it's a whole plethora of stuff, and it's a thick it's a thick book, but people seem to be enjoying it, and it's on Amazon if you're
It's
interested.
it's amazing. I mean,
Aaron read it, and like, yeah, he read it before anyone actually.
yeah, yeah. I was reading the Google Docs
Right.
before it was out. I mean, even if you've heard a lot of Tyler's stories and information, there's going to be a lot of stuff you haven't heard, and it's all put together so beautifully in a nice, streamlined, amazing way. It keeps you on the edge of your seat the whole time. It's worth it, guys. Like,
Thank you.
buy the book. I'm telling you, it's amazing. Um, yeah, you need to get it. You need to read it. And my book is called Waking to the Infinite Universe. It is also on Amazon. And
Your book came out like a year ago at this time, like almost exactly
exactly,
a year.
almost exactly a year ago to the day,
Right,
by like, I think a year and a few days or something like that
right.
to today.
Because it
Yeah.
came out right before last conference.
Right, right, right. And then you followed in my footsteps
Right,
this year. By like, I gotta get mine out by the
right.
conference. Yeah,
Yeah,
no, I mean
yeah.
that's a good idea because otherwise you got to wait a whole another year till the next conference.
And I read and I'll do Aaron's book a little uh pitch here. So it
Oh,
was
thank
like
you.
when I first like literally when I got your book and I was reading the first couple chapters, I remember the first thought I had, like I was immediately gone in the information, like in a good way. And I had the thought come to my head, like, I'm like, oh, I need to tell Aaron about this book. It's your book. Like,
I remember you said that. Yeah.
dude, like, because we
Oh,
always
wait, this
read,
is his book.
because when we're reading books, I mean, how many times do we do that? Like, dude, you need to check this out. You need to check this out. So,
You just like
yeah,
automatically
like
do that.
autopilot. I'm like, oh, it's his own book.
Oh, yeah.
Uh, yeah.
I
So, I
really,
mean,
I wish you would have like done that with like
right.
sent me before thinking about it. You'd be
Yeah.
like, dude, check out this from
Dude,
this book.
yeah. No, but it's really good. And, then the first three chapters kind of like just destroys the matrix and just breaks down like everything beautifully. Like you
Thank
just go
you.
straight for the jugular and then it goes into your story. And then this like the remainder of the book is like a compilation of research essentially on a number of different topics that we cover on the show.
Yeah.
And it's like almost like in a sense a reference manual for me when I'm researching and I know that you covered it. I'll like flip your book open and go to that part because
What does he say in here?
you
Yeah.
summarize it like so you take these big theories that like you can search weeks on, days down the rabbit hole, and you
Hmm.
just like summarize it so beautifully. So anyone who's not into this stuff. They just can like go to that and they can read about something like um, Gary McKinnon, the NASA hack or whatever.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. And I tried to another goal of mine with the book was not just to like present a whole bunch of different information, but to show how it all connects and how it all relates to each other, and kind of show a little bit of an overview, which is why I kind of like not only do I go through all of those different topics and information, but like if you know if you've read the book, you'll notice at the beginning of the book and then also at the end of the book, I kind of give this big picture,
Big picture, right?
the big picture view of like, hey, here's zoom all the way out, and here's what's going on. Like you
Right.
are ultimately, you know, like David Icke says, all that ever was, all that is, and all that ever will be is actually your true nature. You know,
Right.
you're experiencing your this body, you're experiencing this in a point of awareness, and we're all that same consciousness experiencing itself. So I go through all that kind of stuff, and then kind of the next level down from that, where it's like, hey, we're all one, everything's connected, the science behind that, the science behind consciousness, and how,
Are you gonna have
uh,
books at the conference?
energy of the universe creates everything. Yeah. So I'm gonna take as many as I can fit in a suitcase with me.
Okay.
So hopefully I don't run out like I did last year, but if I do, it's fine.
Yeah.
Yep. So I'll have books available at the conference.
Yep, I'll have some too. Victor just asked, he said, save me a copy. I'll buy it at the conference. Yeah, we'll have plenty of physical copies. And then this is my story, who 10 minutes ago said he couldn't make it. Now just said, when the show ends, I'm going to check out airline prices for the upcoming conference. Would love to join you. Yeah, book the trip and take the hit. Um, yeah, and
Ye-
then somebody said, oh, it was the same guy. This is my story, or girl. Sorry, I don't know if it's a girl or I don't know who this is. Hawaii, that's where I would really like to go. That's going to be a lot of fun. It's more of a retreat. We're going to be swimming with dolphins, going to some sacred sites, maybe some waterfalls. There's also a venue, obviously, where we're going to have some speakers, but it's not just like everyday balls to the wall speakers and just information overload. Even the schedule on the days we do have the speakers, it's going to be very relaxed. It's going to end early. You're going to have the whole evening in Hawaii to yourself. It's actually, I can see it in my head. It's going to flow very beautifully, and I can't
Yeah.
wait.
It's going to be exactly what you would want a Hawaii like trip in general to be.
Yeah,
You know?
exactly. Like I don't want people to feel like they're stuck at a conference.
Right.
Like it's
You're
not
in
going to
Hawaii.
be. Yeah, you're in
Right.
Hawaii, so let's like do this, right?
Right.
Boots on the ground. We're just trying to. I really just want to get away from the classroom style setting of these
Mhm.
conferences, and that still
Yeah.
plays a part, but we can broaden our horizons a little bit.
Right.
Okay, so now I am going to wrap this up. And just a reminder, guys, if you are coming to the conference and you want a meal plan, that deadline is May 6th. So take advantage of that before May 6th. And all the links to everything that we do are below in the description, but you can find everything on our main website, journeytotruth.online. And that being said, good night. We love you.
Yep.
And until next time, have a great evening.
Night, guys. See you at the conference.